I'm pretty certain that the audience is saying to itself, not unlike Greg Cote just said to himself, what does all that mean? Why did you guys make such a big deal out of that? Like, what just happened that makes any of that important? And the answer to that question is that we've arrived at being able to do all our own things with the backing of mainstream media in a way that can also exist outside of mainstream media, not beholden to mainstream media. And as the media collapses, we now begin to collect partners that are going to make us gather strength so I can feel and we can feel less weakened than we have over the last 3.5 years. And it's just the start of, okay, now we're moving. It took us 3.5 years to turn this into a radio show that exists as a television show, and now that television show exists behind something that has been a television show for a long time, is more credible as a television show than we are, and is our lead-in to the afternoon. And if you don't want it there, that's fine. You can get it in all the other places you got it. It's what McAfee's trying to build now with ESPN's help, and it's what Shannon Sharp is trying to build with Colin Cowherd's help, and it's what Stephen A. Smith will soon try to build with somebody's help, where you get both the freedom of doing whatever you want and you partner with people that are media giants in order to make you generally stronger.
Can't help but feel like David Sampson's going to get mad when you're saying that we now have a real lead-in.
I want to reveal to the audience something I did not know until this weekend, which is, speaking of asking famous people for things, David Sampson has asked Brad Williams to open for him.
To open?
David Sampson wants to do
Should be the other way around.
David Sampson wants to do a
Brad's
comedy
first.
set opening for Brad Williams.
Brad does theaters.
No, that's not how that goes.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. David Sampson wants to open for Brad Williams.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like a
Makes
door?
more sense, right. Got nervous for a second.
Germaphobe to do that.
All right, we're good. I mean, okay.
He'll put his hand inside the shirt and then grab the door and open it.
Yeah.
Open his baggie of candy. Got it.
Did you guys read or hear, speaking of how it is that people gather strength over time? It's not just that the Kelsey brothers signed a $100 million deal with Amazon. Podcast business kind of stinks, but we're one of the few places where it doesn't stink. It stinks almost all over outside of like 10 things. The Kelsey brothers just got a deal for $100 million, and these numbers are a little bit crazy. Travis Kelce has appeared in the past 30 days in airings of commercials 83,032 times. It is more than anyone in the world that he has spent in the last 30 days in commercial airtime selling Travis Kelce. And he will have this season 127 nationally aired ads on television.
Just Travis?
Just Travis.
Wow, because Jason's going to have plenty on his own, too.
Then are we ever, like, when are people going to get tired of this? Because inevitably they will get tired of it, will they not?
Let's see what kind of breakup they have, if they have one. That'll probably be
Yeah.
one of the points there. But I just saw an Applebee's commercial starring Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell's going to take all the commercials from here on out. He is a natural. He is so good.
Dan's right, though. People get sick of seeing something over and over again if they're kind of like, like oversaturation. And it happened this weekend with Kirk Herbstreit's dog. I noticed people last season, when the dog started going on road trips with him, they were like, oh, what a cute dog. This past weekend, they showed the dog in the booth, and everyone was like, all right, that's enough already. Too much of this golden retriever. And I couldn't disagree more. I think the dog is actually the best thing that booth has going for it. It is adorable.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to let a dog just be a dog. Enough with the travel and the football games and the booth and the private jets and all this. How about you just hang out with other dogs?
Exactly right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let Ben be Ben.
Go to a dog park. I mean, do something. Have a bone.
That dog's
have a
flying
bone.
private. It's eating caviar, drinking champagne. I mean, that dog's not wanting for anything. It is
Dogs
a
don't like
happy
caviar.
dog.
Dogs like eating.
Seriously.
You're right.
Eat eggs, fish eggs. Kidding me?
Like the FSU guy that said he was going to eat poop.
Let Ben sniff a butt. You know what I mean?
When they're sniffing around the grass, they're sniffing for poop. They're not sniffing for caviar.
Exactly
I
right.
mean,
Exactly. By the way, that FSU fan who said on what will always be Twitter to me that he was going to eat dog if FSU lost.
Eat it.
You got to eat it now.
Yep.
You gotta.
But if you had to do
You
that,
gotta.
is there a particular breed of dog that would be more palatable than other dogs?
I'd get a little dog, right? Because then
I
you think
think
it's
so.
a little poop.
Yeah, you want just a little tiny finger-sized log, that you can.
I don't
just
want a
consume
St. Bernard,
quickly.
I'll tell you that right
no,
now.
right. Or you don't want a dog with diarrhea.
That's
then
true.
you're eating it out of a bowl.
But it might be
Right.
quicker. You just kind of slurp it.
Ugh.
Dad, you said earlier you're so confident about UM this year. Are you prepared to eat poop if they lose to an easy opponent?
If they lose to FAMU Saturday evening,
Why
I
would you
will
do
eat
that?
poop
You'll eat
live on
poop?
this show.
Why?
Yes.
We will hold you to that.
Why
Okay.
would you say that?
Wow.
No
Okay.
reason.
No one was making
What
it.
about at USF?
No, I'm going to take it one game at a time. Like
Right,
a coach.
right.
Don't
Okay.
take that bet. Do not take that bet.
Just
it
take
one game at a
FAMU
time.
and call it a day, okay? Right. Let's move on.
You want a dog that's not hairy, also, right? You don't want some hair in
Yeah,
there.
you want a
You want a
really-
nice poopy.
Yeah, short dog.
You're
Why
right
did-
about the diarrhea, though. I mean, that's.
it's
But
the
you
worst.
never know. It's a crapshoot.
I mean, believe me, Jumpin' Charlie, he's, pooping pancakes, that guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. His diet hasn't changed,
Huh.
but he's just very inconsistent on the
Oh, come on. Crapshoot.
Do you give him boar's head?
No, we don't.
Oh,
That's
good.
been killing people, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Good.
Careful, we might be a partner with them.
Killing people.
I think our show now airs on all
Boar's
Boar's
Head
Head
Network.
meats.
It is on the Boar's Head Network. That's our next partnership.
Take a number, and on the number screen, you get 5 observations.
So at 321 Noel wrote on Twitter, Florida State loses to BC this weekend. I will eat dog out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and post a video of me doing it. Book it. And not only did they lose, but they lost 28-13 to BC. That's the biggest win a former Belichick disciple has ever had coaching a football team, Bill O'Brien.
What?
They almost reverse covered.
Bill O'Brien, huh?
Florida State
Still out there.
is unfathomably bad. What is the biggest victory? Because Belichick's now going to hire all his friends and put them on television analyzing games, and none of them are any good. It's Charlie Weiss and Matt Patricia. He's just going to create a giant economy around just stinky coaches who can't work anywhere.
He'll be working in 3 weeks, and it will just be Romeo Crennel.
That's right. He's going to get a bunch of jobs, and Steve Belichick is all of a sudden going to be hosting 3 shows on the NFL Network.
I mean, give Bill O'Brien some credit. That was I think Florida State, it's not like they gave up after the Georgia Tech game. Like, I think they really thought they were going to just stomp Boston College and move on with their season. But now they opened the season with 2 ACC losses before week 2 has even begun. And it's like, first of all, I think it's odd that they're playing 2 conference teams that early in the season. It's weird.
Bad job
And
by the AD.
It's like kind of like how do you move on from this, right? Because their offense looked so bad, but their defense was supposed to be. I mean, like, Mike, how many podcasts did you listen to this offseason that said Florida State's D-line was the best in the country and had all these NFL prospects and no one was going to be able to run on them?
Saban co-signed on that notion.
And then you watch Boston College, their quarterback is legitimately very fun to watch. He was very fun to watch last year. His name is Castellanos, which I think always has people like, all right, something weird's going to happen. There's a Castellanos with a deep drive. What's going on right now? But, I mean, credit to Bill O'Brien. Came into, Seminole territory and won the game. And first game at Boston College. It's crazy.
I will say that while it didn't look like FSU quit before that game, it certainly looked like there was some quit late in that game.
I would say second quarter.
Yeah, that was a really disappointing performance from FSU. And Mike Norvell, who was so calm on the sidelines before, wearing it. Dude is wearing it. Was wearing it after the second 3 and out.
It's a lot
you
of
can see the
pressure, man.
pressure he is under. This is a dude that was reported said no to Alabama over the offseason. Now that house of cards may be coming
It happens that
crashing
quickly.
to the ground.
It stinks, but like you can't give up. Like, you still have to. It's so hard to get players to buy into a program, especially after what happened to them at the end of last season, missing the playoff and being a team that can go 13-0. I know it's different now with the 12-team playoff, but it's just such a terrible look for the entire conference that they were left out of the playoff. And so you can't just give up on the season and not make a bowl game. Like, you have to at least try to salvage what you can from it.
Jessica, that's not a lack of effort. They stink, okay? Like last week, I declared their season was over last week when they lost to Georgia Tech that way. Their quarterback is not good enough, and their season is over.
Yeah.
And well, we can talk about the weakness of the conference, but when you're telling me that team quit against Boston College, what I remember, this is how it's happened this season in 2 games. First drive of the season for FSU, Stugotz and a whole lot of people declare them the best team in the country because they go down the field on Georgia Tech in 7 plays. And all they've done since then is lose with a quarterback who dinks and dunks. Their offense isn't nearly good enough.
It's not, and this is what happens when you're all in on the portal. And I would say that there were other things going on when it was good to be FSU that were worthy of taking inventory of, whether it be players publicly complaining about the money that they're getting, threatening to hold out of bowl games if they don't get their money right. There are guys that were pretty high priced that made a big public stink about what they were getting, what they weren't getting, that were part of that group in that second quarter that were quitting. And this is why, even though it felt good to be FSU when you had Jordan Travis under center, this is why you have to stack those transfer portal classes with talent underneath, because you're at the mercy of what's in the portal, and you're at the mercy of other programs also figuring out the portal. They tried to get guys like Cam Ward. They were unsuccessful. So they decided we're going to get all these guys that aren't getting playing time at these big programs, because if they're playing at big programs, that'll get our fan base excited. Well, you were at the mercy of the portal. Portal wasn't good enough, and now you got nothing behind these guys. You're asking for backups that you don't have.
Yeah, I am curious. Like, if there was a point in the game in which it was like, you have to pull DJ. Like, there were a lot of drop balls. There was he didn't have a lot of time. It was bad protection all around. But you have to wonder how unconfident they are in the backup quarterback situation to not make any sort of change in that game, because the crowd is chanting, "We want Brock, the backup quarterback," in what, second quarter, third quarter?
Yeah.
That's just stinks. And to take your fan base from being on top of the world last year, going undefeated and winning the conference championship, to this, that coaching staff just needs to do better.
And Dan, you can put the town on alert. I don't think they beat Memphis.
Wow.
Really?
The whole town?
Put the town on alert.
Yeah, I think Memphis makes a college football playoff. So.
Wow. Here's what's interesting to me about this college football season. You have teams getting quarterbacks they wouldn't normally get because of the transfer portal. So Michigan was stacked at quarterback. Cade McNamara left. He's now at Iowa. Iowa puts up 40 points. Iowa might be good. If they could score 25 points a game, they might be a team that could sneak into the playoffs. Same thing happening at Syracuse with Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
That guy was a quarterback at Ohio State. Syracuse never gets that quarterback. He threw 4 touchdowns this weekend.
McCord actually impressed me a little bit with his toughness. He was dealing with injuries, especially in that Michigan game that people didn't really realize. But that was a very disrespectful line for Iowa. Come on, some of these people are gone. A 20-point favorite over a 6-win Illinois State team? Come on.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is unconfident a word at LeBatard Show? And also, can you tell the difference between a team that is quitting and a team that's not very good? Because I can't. I don't have that ability. Maybe teams quit, but I haven't seen anything from FSU except in the first drive this season that suggests to me anything other than that team's not very good.
Got about 16 recent years of experience being able to spot it happening right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's bad body language, bad posture when you get to the line, everyone looking for leadership there, a lackadaisical approach. And also look at the red flags that pop up over the course of what people are talking about before the season. This had a recipe for a disastrous season for FSU, and it's playing out worse than maybe even the people that were most sour on their chances had it.
Greg, can you tell that you've been covering sports for 50 years? I just heard Stugotz just excited because Stugotz likes to take things from people, ask things of people, have people do work for him. And he's like, Dan, he was sort of not quite yelling at me, but he saw that I wanted your list of the top 32 NFL teams ranked in order. And he said, I want that for God Bless Football.
I do.
Please, you can't have it, Dan. I need Greg Cote's ranking of. Can you tell the difference?
He outbid you.
Can you tell the difference between a team quitting and a team not being very good?
One of my least favorite things to do that I very rarely do in print or in a microphone is accuse an athlete of not trying hard enough or not working hard enough. I think it's generally a talent issue. I think if you're losing 2 games that you shouldn't lose, you're just not good enough. I don't think it's that you're quitting. I don't think it's that necessarily the coach is making a bad decision on who starts at a specific position. But I just noticed today, FSU's championship odds in 2 games have gone from 66-1 to 500-1. And what that tells me is nobody expects a turnaround. Nobody thinks this is an anomaly. FSU's just bad.
Let me explain something, as Jessica says, that Bill O'Brien deserves some credit for this.
Still can't believe that.
Bill O'Brien and Boston College going into Tallahassee and winning 28-13, the home team's not any good. It's not. Boston College may indeed surprise you, may be better than you thought they were. FSU scoring 13 points at home, and Boston College's defense also for the last couple of years is a defense that every once in a while will surprise you and slowed FSU last year when they were a lot better than this. But losing at home and scoring only 13 points at home, it's a damning indictment.
I know talent composite isn't everything, but FSU's is top 15 in the country this season on 247. So I don't think you can say that they're not talented. I really think that when it comes down to things like this, it's the coaching staff not putting players in a position to be successful. And so I try to not to blame individuals for a performance or put it all on the players, even though individuals can have bad performances. That's very common in sports, especially in college football. But when you have a team that going into the season is extremely talented by most metrics and has a number of players that are either projected to play in the NFL or, top of their class in college football, and then they lose their first 2 games of the season to teams that they're favored against, I think that's 100% on the coaching staff.
Here's what took me the most by surprise last night, because I thought Boston College could win that game. It was how poorly Boston College played in blowing FSU out, because they were disastrous on special teams. Castellanos was missing open receivers that were streaking wide open.
Wheel route in the first
routes,
quarter.
was often taking the closest wide open option, just completely foregoing touchdown passes deeper down the field. They didn't even have to play well. Lou Riddick pointed out there's no deep safety right now. They do not respect this, and it's the same exact thing that we saw last week. Georgia Tech grew into that game. I don't expect Boston College's defense was the only good unit for Boston College, really, yesterday. The only really impressive unit. Georgia Tech doesn't have this incredible defense either. Throughout the game, those opposing defenses grow into it and get more aggressive because they realize Uiagalelei has no interest in throwing the ball downfield. And if he does, it's to keep another defense honest, and it's going to be inaccurate.
Florida tried some of that against Miami, where all Mertz was doing is trying to throw it deep, and there was nothing there, and the rest of the game ended up being constipated for Florida. I want to show you something from this weekend, the entertainment around the entertainment, because College Game Day, an institution, as we celebrate 20 years, and I can tell you firsthand how much it hurts to try to keep evolving something as you age. The way that show has treated Lee Corso is something that is worthy of emulation by every corporation in the history of corporate greed, that they continue to find ways for an 89-year-old Lee Corso to not age out of a show that they're trying to get younger while he's still there. So, over the weekend, you've got Shane Gillis with McAfee. McAfee shirtless sometimes. There have been memes about McAfee sitting next to Saban that are funny in commercial breaks where McAfee is dancing and Saban is stiff in a suit just looking straight ahead. In the middle of this show that is trying to reinvent itself, you've got the wonderful visual of here's Johnny Manziel next to McAfee, who is shirtless and hugging Nick Saban. There is Lee Corso dressed as a leprechaun dancing and saying, "I have to pee." And in all of that, there's Saban looking around, sitting in the middle of it and saying to you out loud in a way that caught me off guard, I've never been in anything like this because I'm always the one causing this celebration, too focused to actually enjoy it. This is so much fun. And off to the side, McAfee is playing with Shane Gillis as Trump, and they've got someone winning $50,000 on the air, kicking a 30-yard field goal as they call him a loser. What did you guys do with this weekend of College Game Day trying to reinvent itself in a way that I find not just a lot of fun, because Fox is getting stronger there with Urban Meyer and all of its garbage, And this is trying to keep the pace on what has been the best show of its kind for a long time, and it's damn near impossible to keep these things together for 20 years.
I'm actually happy that there is another option, and I think you dismiss it with Urban Meyer, but I think Big Noon does really good things. And I think I gravitate, depending on the game, like I will this week for Texas, Michigan.
They have it, right,
to
Fox?
to their particular insight. I think Game Day leans into some of the strengths that they have with the present cast. I think one of the things that received universal praise was a profile on Cam McCormick, and that was happening not often enough on Game Day last year. You have Pat McAfee, who's electric and very charismatic, but every week, is it going to be shirts off and dancing leprechauns? That's cool, but I need the Cam McCormicks too. I need Nick Saban and his perspective. So it's all about the balance that they can strike, which is a good thing, because I do think Big Noon was effectively cutting into their lead, as the ratings and critics kind of pointed out.
I watched the first hour, and I was into Saban, and I thought Herbie did a great job of just picking his brain in almost in every segment, just being like, all right, Nick, this is your time. Like, tell us. So I was a big fan of it, and I think that I don't really see them as reinventing it. It's very similar that it always has been. I mean, they are trying to, the McAfee effect, I guess, is different, but to me, I put that on every Saturday morning as opposed to the Fox show.
By the way, Pat McAfee has also changed more and conformed more to College Game Day's way of doing things than they have to his, I would say. Like,
well, he was drunk
year,
on the air a week ago.
Well, that's
that was on his show.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, but he came in hungover.
Well,
Dublin.
Those are allegations.
What are you going to do? When in Rome?
I mean, like last year, whatever it
Ireland's an
was, a lot of times he was in his tank top. Now he's there. He's in a suit. He's like dressing the part. He's more College Game Day than he is Pat McAfee on that show.
I love what they've done with Lee Corso, how they've kept him involved without having him front and center like that. At that age, he is literally and figuratively and almost literally the mascot of that show now. You see him for a minute, he's dressed up, he looks funny, does a little dance, and then leaves. I think that's perfect for a guy that age.
I think one of the things, and really the glue to that show, it's much like the TNT pregame show with the NBA. Having Ernie sitting in the middle of all that chaos, is Reese Davis is so damn good at his job. It's amazing to have all that swirling around. The crowd, Nick Saban, McAfee doing what he's doing, and to have Reese Davis, a pillar of professionalism, sitting there and just taking you and guiding you through what is a chaotic show. It's amazing to watch.
Mike isn't wrong that Fox is making inroads, and college football in general is growing, but it is going to be fun to watch those two entities compete. And again, I will remind you, as I play this video and sound, it is really funny that everyone obsesses with Nick Saban saying the word and everyone just shrugs their shoulders on everything else he's saying around the word.
So you guys keep talking about a $20 million roster.
Yeah.
If you don't pay the right guys, you'll be out of luck. That's life, baby. That's life. Congratulations. You just broke the internet.
I like to imagine that the NFL starting quarterbacks have a group chat, and that every year Patrick Mahomes brings the new people in, gets rid of the people that aren't starting anymore, and that throughout the year they just have a group chat where they just, show each other fun memes, talk shit to, like, who's the guy that gets, like, really just, like, made fun of a lot? Who's the starting quarterback that just hates the group chat because he always gets made fun of?
Got to be Kirk Cousins, no?
Yeah. Kirk seems like a guy that doesn't even, like, participate. He's kind of like, what do you call him, Mike, in the group chat when people aren't, like, saying anything?
Floaters?
No, there was
That's how they refer to them.
Lurkers?
yeah.
So, like,
Sightseers or something, you said? Or something? Tourists or something.
Yeah,
People that are just,
tourists.
like, visiting, but they don't actually contribute to the group chat.
Does everyone get then like a notification that says like Ryan Tannehill has been removed from the chat? Like, what happens?
I think it's kind of just like Mahomes being like, no hard feelings. And then, like, you see Tannehill has been removed. So it's like the last thing Tannehill sees is no hard feelings, and then all of a sudden he's out of there. And he's just like, but you kind of get it if you're Tannehill. You're like, this is the starting quarterback group chat.
So what happens like in Pittsburgh? Like before they
Justin
named
Fields.
the starting quarterback, were they both in, or like were we waiting? What happened
I
there?
think they were both kind of in.
We all knew Russell Wilson was going to start week one.
Well, were
Justin-
they in limbo, Chris, in this
It's a
situation?
little tricky because Justin Fields was in the starting quarterback chat the previous year, and then he gets to Pittsburgh, and the group chat certainly doesn't want to make the call on who
No.
they feel is a starter, but now someone kicks him out.
I think that he was
Or is it
kicked.
Russell
He
that
was
kicks him
kicked out
out?
when Chicago traded him. That's when he got kicked out of the group chat.
I mean, but he was still battling for it.
And then Caleb Williams was added that night when he was drafted.
I'd like to think that Kaepernick is still in this group chat because, like, everyone kind of sees, well, I'm not going to be the person that does this. The NFL did plenty. And
What if you get a spot start? Do you get added for the week?
See, yeah, I don't know. I don't
Well,
know the
it's
answer to your question. Like Drake May, what's he doing? Jacoby Brissett. There's a lot of
The
interesting
answer
ones.
can be whatever you want, Chris. This
I
is
know.
your
I would
story.
rather
love
be in the
that.
backup quarterback chat because I think
The
that
rest is
one's a
still
lot more
unwritten.
freewheeling.
The
And then that
backup.
one-
That's where all the shit talking goes down.
Yeah, that's where, you have holdovers like, try and kick Charlie Whitehurst out of this. I dare you. Guy's a mensch.
That's how I was kind of thinking. Like Russell Wilson seems like an eager person, and that would be a good group chat person. So I'm thinking he might just be in it still, and it was never removed when he got because he brings value to the group chat. So they were like, man, even though he got traded, he might not be the starter.
In the-
Daily affirmations get annoying.
In
Yeah.
the backup group chat, when someone gets promoted to QB1, they get like taken out of it, like the little toys in Toy Story getting clawed out of the machine.
Aw.
Goodbye.
So is every
Starting.
backup in the backup group chat, or there's like a QB2 one and a QB3 one, and then like a practice squad one?
I think we're just talking QB2s here.
There's
Really?
yeah.
There would never be a QB3 chat. I mean, that's just absurd.
I just put all the backups in like one,
right. To me, they
Even
can
like
all
the
be.
practice squatters.
Right.
So
To
like
me-
Mike White is fine. He's still in the chat.
This is
Anyway.
fun though. I just like it. I just like the idea of
Good game.
of Mahomes being the leader of it, and it's just like every year, all right, I got to go through who are the starters. Got to remove this guy, Aiden O'Connell. You're fine. I'm gonna leave you in here one more year, but you're probably out of here.
Well, no, he's not.
No, he's not though. Minshew. Which
Wait.
group chat is Minshew in?
Minshew's the starter?
Oh,
I thought
boy.
it was Aiden O'Connell.
All right.
Sorry, you're out of
Did you
here.
already draft your fantasy team?
I did. I actually drafted last night. I have way too many fantasy teams, so the last one I was like, I've done this way too much. I'm over this. How do I make this fun? I drafted what I'm calling the all ghost team. It's like all guys
Red
that
Range.
like are past their prime. I have DeAndre Hopkins. I have Zeke Elliott. I have.
Are you trying to lose?
No, I'm telling you, I'm going to make the playoffs. I'm telling you, this is a fighting team. This team's got some fight in it.
I'm in a college football fantasy team this year, and I just drafted all players on teams that I don't like because then if they have really, really good games, like I'm like, oh,
Emotional hedge.
exactly.
My team name is the Sixth Sense, and I actually screwed up and auto-picked the first pick, so I have Jamar Chase, and after that, everyone is really old. I have Devin Singletary,
Well,
Austin
you got to
Eckler.
trade him.
I have Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Aaron Rodgers, Zeke Elliott, Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, DeAndre Hopkins, and Adam Thielen.
Trade Chase.
Just like trade him for someone really old.
Yeah, you have
straight
to.
up. I know it does feel dishonest what I'm doing because I have an all-old team with Jamar Chase.
Speaking of QB2s,
Mm-hmm.
didn't talk about once today how Michigan's QB's last name is Orgy.
My life as I know it is about to drastically change forever. And the reason I say that, as many of you know, I'm going to be a father coming up in December to a baby girl, and it's crazy, and I can't believe it. And a lot of my life is going to change, but there's one thing in my life that's going to be constant. And since 1975, this original light beer has been a constant, a mainstay for the entire planet. And it's going to continue to be a mainstay for me. It's Miller Lite. They keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. It's a light beer that actually tastes like beer. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling, and it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. I will when my daughter's born with a tall, cold glass of Miller Lite. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.